Hi everybody, excuse my attire. It's the end of the day, it's 10 minutes after 7. It's been a tough day. Most of you I'm sure know this already. And it's almost ready for our next e-newsletter. Well, actually you'll be receiving this with our next e-newsletter, which will be coming out on the 16th of this week. We're in the third week of September. Yes, the third week of September. We have the, what I wanted to speak about today was many different things to do with the MS Views and News website and all the information and resources that is available to you from this site. Now we're going to end the video portion for just right now, and then we're just going to go into the narration portion of this message. Then we'll come back to some video, and then you'll be done with me for another week. Okay? Thanks a lot. And don't forget, listen to the narration. Thank you. Hi again. It's Stuart, and I'm back, yes, and now we're taking up the narration portion of this podcast. I wanted to speak about the MS Views and News website. First off, the web address is www.msviewsandnews.org. And the "and" portion is spelled out. So it's msviews and spelled out news.org. Okay? So you go to this website, and we are always making changes. New things are being added. For instance, if you click on the site or you go to the site now, you'll see near the top of the center about the MS Symposium 2010. This is a large exposition that we're putting together. It's not large like something that maybe a larger organization could pull off, but MS Views and News is doing this for our very first year, and I'm using the design that I used from many years ago when I created the MS Health Expo for the National MS Society's South Florida chapter. So, though we're doing this on a smaller scale, and on this it'll educate the patients and the caregivers that may attend the program as well. This program will have 3 different segments taking place in the morning, and during these 3 segments there'll be 2 different programs happening at a time. Then we will go into lunch, and within the lunch you will then have the Q&A with the doctors, and that will last for about an hour. Following the Q&A, nobody has to leave the room, because then we're having a sexologist, yes, a sexologist, speak with everybody about MS and sexuality, and for what to do for those persons that have sensory problems where they don't feel what they want to be feeling. Okay, so let's go further on with the website. You can see that where we have sponsorship from various organizations or pharmaceuticals. There's information on there right now on the home page about stem cell. Basically, whatever you want to know about embryonic stem cell is there to learn from. Underneath that, there's information from the National MS Society about CCSVI and interventional radiology sources. Following that is information from the Canadian and MS societies and what they're now doing to promote research for secondary progressive MS. Following that, we have headline news from the National MS Society. Headline news is on there each week, each day. Every month you'll find it on there. Sometimes the MS Society has information that nobody else has, and all you do is you click on the links that are seen there, and it takes you back to the National MS Society's website. Following that, there is information for diagnosing multiple sclerosis. And of course, for many of us that are veterans with this disease or illness, we don't really want to know anymore, and though this information is for the newly diagnosed. And the newly diagnosed, of course, having many, many questions. Following this, right now on this website still, is information about kids and multiple sclerosis. And we, as adults, need to remember that we are not the only ones with MS. I mean, MS is known to affect most, or people mostly diagnosed between the ages of 20 and 40, but that doesn't mean that you cannot be older to first be diagnosed, or that you cannot be younger than 20 and be diagnosed. And just think of a small child being diagnosed with MS and having to insert one of those needles into their body either every day or every other day or 3 times a week or something, whatever the doctor of that child decides that's best for that child. Okay, so following the bit about pediatric MS, there's just other information about wellness and nutrition, wellness and exercise, alternative therapies. Then there's a section on about multiple sclerosis, what it is, what causes, who gets it, symptoms of MS, how it's diagnosed, alternative therapies, and so on. Then there's a section on the different stages of MS, possible, newly diagnosed, relapse remitting, progressive, advanced, and also, again, pediatric. You'll find that the links on these pages, they all link back to the originating source, whether it be the National MS Society or the MS Foundation or the American Academy of Neurology or blah, blah, blah. It always goes somewhere. You'll also find videos at the bottom of Wheelchair Kamikaze and different patients and their videos on their stories about multiple sclerosis. Now that's all that's found on our homepage. Then to the left of the homepage, on the left side of the homepage, you'll find many different menu links, one for resources, one for the main section and all that you could find there, our guest book, e-newsletter archives, links to our blog, registration for those that aren't registered yet, information about the MS Symposium. The resources section has information from an occupational therapist, has many, many, many articles, CCSVI, some on stem cell, information from an MS nurse that has MS, and so on. Just look through the different things and also click on each of the banners because these are the people that helped make this site possible. You'll see in the upper left something from Dr. Brian Steingo and the research studies that he's working on. You can see the information from Polar Body Cooling Products and all the vests and cooling products that they have for those with MS or other illnesses or just that you need to keep cool. The MS Center of Miami, the MS Center of Florida, the hyperbaric oxygen, and then we have our shared resources section. Excuse me, but I lose my voice after I speak for too long. So, that being said, I'm going to hang up now, and we're going to go back to the video portion in just a few moments. So, stay with us, and we'll be back to the video in just a few seconds. Thank you. Hi, so yes, we're back again, and hopefully I'll keep my voice for a few moments longer than it was before. That is caused by, I think it's called dysphonia. And according with an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat doctor, this is caused by my multiple sclerosis. It seems that my vocal cords get fatigued when I speak too long. And even though I do speaking engagements, I often just have to know that I have to hydrate because, as it was said, that drinking lots of fluid, liquid, or water is what will keep the vocal cords lubricated and keep me from getting hoarse. But of course we know that that's not always something good for us to do because when we drink too much water, what happens next? Well, we'll have to take that up with a future podcast. And yes, it could be about me, and it could be about you, and it could be about everybody else with those darn bladder issues, all right? But for now, let's get back to what we were talking about with the website. So you heard the narration, hopefully. You heard what's on our website's homepage and subsequent pages. And we hope that you use this as a resource for linking back to all other, or not all other, but many other MS organizations around the world, as well as just finding the knowledge and keeping up to date and educated with MS news. All right, and again, that is what we do. That is what that's part of our logo, is providing you with MS views and news, just like the title of our organization. So to find us again, it's www.msviewsandnews.org. I also would like to thank those that are now sponsoring our podcast and newsletter series, and in time those lists will grow, and you'll see more and more logos attached to the newsletter or attached to the podcast. At the beginning of the podcast, you'll see that. Okay, so again, we do thank you for watching and listening to this broadcast, to this podcast and broadcast, all right? And we look forward to seeing you next week. So I won't see you, but you'll see me, okay? And keep your heads up, and remember, live for today, because tomorrow will be yesterday in another 2 days. Understand? Great.